So these are some interesting quotes about death. This one from Billy Graham. Just so you don't think it's weird to talk about death, but there is no death, by the way. We need to be reminded that there's nothing morbid about honestly confronting the fact of life's end and preparing for it so we may go gracefully and peacefully. The fact is, we cannot truly face life until we've learned to face the fact that it will be taken from us. Mark Twain, great writer. Death is the only immortal who treats us all alike, whose pity and whose peace and whose refuge are for all. The soiled and the pure, the rich and the poor, the loved and the unloved. That was supposedly when he was leaving his body, as we devotees say. Mahatma Gandhi has a couple of, says, live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. In Bhagavad Gita, of course. Like garments, as a person puts on new garments, giving up the old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. And then Prabhupada's famous statement as he's, bedridden and emaciated, and the doctors can't understand how he's even alive, and he's still dictating the Bhagavatam. He's saying, don't think this won't happen to you. And he said many times, our bhakti will be tested at the time of death. He said it in different ways. And Socrates is a nice statement. He says, philosophy is preparation for death and dying. So we all know that, and many of us have heard the Mahabharata, and the most wonderful thing is that everyone's dying, but we think we won't die. So, when I turned 65 about 6 months ago, I thought, well, I'm getting up there, But even though, like I said, I don't think it's my time, but it could be. So it got my attention, and something shifted in me, and I decided I was going to procrastinating. Say, if I'm a procrastinator, then I might as well put off putting off. Because I tend to put off important things, like speaking and trying to, I have a high intention for my writing, and a high intention for my speaking. But in order to do what I want to do, I've got to be on the spiritual platform. And so, another reason that I think I attract is because I have to be, I have to walk the talk, I have to be on the spiritual platform. I have to exemplify what I teach. I've been sharing this a little bit on my Facebook. That it has to be who I am if it's going to have some power. I have to be able to speak to you. And we have a mixed audience. Not everyone is a sadhaka here. But for 45 years, I was saying, it was a little embarrassing because I've been what I like to call a religious devotee, a casual devotee. Yeah, hardball. I always chanted. Basically followed it, but I can say that I wasn't, pining for Krishna, And if you study the lives of successful people, if you want to be successful in anything, you got to give it everything. You look, IBM or Block, whoever it is, whoever's famous that president, whatever. They had a magnificent obsession. So spiritual life, it requires some commitment. We're all mercy cases here. At least I can say I am. If I'm able to speak to you in a way that's meaningful and that can touch your heart and soul, that is great mercy for me. If I'm able to keep your attention, because it's hard to listen to somebody. I'm not a real dynamic speaker. I'm trying to learn a few jokes, but I'm not so. I like to laugh. I do. My wife can attest, and she laughs at my jokes. Everybody. She's very intelligent. So humor is important. Being committed to our spiritual practices, to our families, to relationships. Those are all important, and that we try to do them as a service to Krishna. we need to, we want to be, or hopefully become better people. Just on the material level. Just like, it's great distributing books. I'm not saying anything against it, but I always like to think that's half of the equation. Because if you're unkind, if you're not a happy person, then who cares for the book? We have to represent the book. I wrote a post the other day because I saw outside a bulletin board in a church, and it said, "You may be the only Bible anyone ever reads." So I translated that. You may be the only Bhagavad Gita anyone ever reads. So who we are speaks volumes. I like the quote, probably quote it too much. My wife quotes it too. By Emerson, he said, "Who you are is screaming so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying." So we need to think about that. Who are we really? What are we about? Those are all the kind of things that I'm asking myself now. We take things for granted, but am I ready to like Draupadi? Am I ready to throw up my hands? All right, Lord, I'm ready. Take me. It seems easier than, having a prolonged illness. Sure as heck doing chemo, forget that. And I know that there are many sincere, Western physicians, and that was kind of where I came to my treatment. I did I drank the sugar, the nuclear sugar, so I could do all the cruel tests that they do. Really great. But they did a biopsy. They did the PET scan, and that's how they saw it. So it's a good thing. But sometimes it seems like the treatment is worse than the disease. It's like I had to say, I did a video blog that said, the fact that I'm not doing chemo, everybody. The fact that I got short hair. And that's really the face of cancer, is chemo. And I don't want to get into the politics of medicine, but there are a lot of good alternatives, and it really isn't a death sentence. Like, as much as I appreciate people like looking at me like I was going to melt, like, Prabhu, thank you. I do see that I need, as we all do, you need love, we need appreciation. To me, when I get appreciation, it just means I'm getting feedback. So I know when I'm writing or when I'm speaking, there's some value in it. And we're supposed to be Trinada peace, Vichena, Torah peace, Adishna, humble like the grass, more tolerant than the tree. Giving respect to everyone. Not me. So it's like I got to sit up here. It's all right. Just like once there was a devotee, they were reading in Prabhupada's presence. And the devotee said, "I don't want to sit up here." He said, "It's not for you, it's for the book." So he was sitting on Prabhupada's bed. So it's a role. We play different roles, but we can't think with a role. I can be a guru or a teacher. I have to think I'm a student forever. This is such a high thing that we have. My wife and I went the invitation of Giriraj Maharaj to South Africa in 2009. And one of the things we had to adjust to, we got the royal treatment. We got served like we were royalty. It was very uncomfortable. And then at some point, I said, I have to accept this in the mood of service. And then it was okay. It's not for me. It's for them. So we have to accept a lot of different roles in our life. We're parents, we're father, mother, we're executive, we're whatever we are, guru, teacher. But we have to be medicated. That's why we have to hear the philosophy so we know dasan and dasan, I'm a servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And in our relationships, I wonder what it would be like if instead of calling each other Prabhu, we called each other Master. My dear Master, please serve me. More prasadam. But the culture of respect. I had a great quote. I got a lot of great quotes actually, and I should. Emerson said, "I hate quotations." I understand what he means by that. You gotta be the maker of memorable statements if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to help people. But regardless, I do like quotes. But this is It's from the Dalai Lama, if I can find it. It's so awesome. I hope I wrote it down on here. Dalai Lama, maybe not. Anyway, it was basically saying, oh yeah, the Dalai Lama once said that when you meet someone and you look at that person in the eye, be kind. Because within those eyes, a great battle is going on. So, to understand that, it means our life issues, whatever we went through, the different parts of ourselves, is very helpful. We can think about conditioned identity like there's a main self. In goodness, there's all these other parts in conflict. There's the angry part, the lusty part, the greedy part. It's helpful in couples therapy. So you can say, that's the angry part. It's not really who your spouse is. That's the angry or the lusty part. And that when you're with your spouse, you can try to help them be their best self. Instead of you're angry and they get angry and then, Argh! So we have all these conflicted parts. And so, you see someone at the market having a bad hair day, and you try to be nice to them and not take it personally. That's very difficult to do, of course, unless you're centered in your best compassionate self. So, I hope this has been somewhat conjointed, somewhat, I'm just kind of free associating here. I mean, I do have a script here that I'm not following. But you have to be, it's going to help us all quite a bit if we're balanced human beings. If we understand our issues. If we understand how we get triggered and out of our core self. It's going to be very helpful for sadhana. Because if you're going to chant for 2 hours or whatever, and you're going to give your heart to it, you can't be conflicted. I mean, you can be, but you're going to be very distracted. And, when you sit down or I pace, you got to be focused. And what are you doing it for? I want to be Krishna conscious. What is Krishna conscious? Thinking is a process of answering questions. And one great person, he said that the quality of your life depends on the quality of the questions that you ask. The Bible says, knock and it will be answered. But if you don't knock, you're not going to get the answer. So we have to have really meaningful questions to ask of ourselves. And, when we read, we got to be active readers. What does that mean? Or when, I admit I'm not a flamboyant speaker, but if you're listening with the hope that you're going to learn one thing that can change your life, that can be powerful. That's going to how can I use that? Because, I write a lot about myself, and I got my family pictures, and this little cute baby, and so one of the reasons is, when I became a devotee, I fleshed all that, it's all mine. So I had to kind of reclaim that, and when I speak about myself, one of my messages is that sort out your past. Don't just ignore it. Don't just flush it. Try to understand the good things. I mean, one of the mottos that my wife and I have, and it's very appropriate to any kind of disease, is that whatever happens to me is meant for my highest good. Now, if you can apply that in your life, that will completely change your life. I know it sounds almost cliche. Everybody, this will change your life. But seriously, if you really, somebody cuts you off, or someone's rude to you, or something really terrible happens, somebody gets cancer or whatever, and you think, what am I supposed to learn? That's what I'm trying to do. What am I supposed to learn? How can I grow from this? How can I become a better person? How can I really be a devotee? How can I care about other people? So that, if you can adopt that, that is revolutionary. And really think about it. And that's, hopefully, some of the points I've made, you can try to think about how it applies. And maybe what do I think about my mother? How does that affect how I see women? What do I think about my father? And, whatever it is. I mean, yeah, the spiritual life is the real healing. But a lot of these things are important. And, keeps my wife in business. But seriously, she's a therapist. Um, and that we don't forget our sadhana, those of us who are initiated devotees, that we realize it's crucial for our spiritual progress, that we make that special time for Krishna, and that we really pray. So this is my little, I'm not procrastinating, so I'm going ahead. I have a poem book that's supposed to be out in, hopefully in February. And this, I put this in there, although it doesn't quite fit. This is about prayer. And I'm just going to leave you with this, and we can, I guess I didn't read anything yet. Maybe a few quotes, but this is just trying to convey the importance for me that it not only am I chanting, which is a prayer, please engage in your service, and trying to chant the prayers by the acharyas, but I'm also offering my prayer. My most often prayer is, please help me. Help me, please. Thank you for helping me. I know he's helping me. Please, let my thinking, feeling, and willing and acting